Hey, good morning and welcome to Herald Now. I'm Ryan Bridge. It's Monday, the 25th of August. Great to have your company this morning. Coming up on the show, senior police have painted a damning picture of the quality of new cops, saying many can barely deal with basic duties like arresting people. One of the country's top cops is in shortly to tell us what they plan to do about it. And we're running a two-speed economy and the cities are lagging behind. Christopher Luxon is with us live after 8 this morning to explain how he reckons he'll fix that problem. And the rebirth of New Zealand Fashion Week kicks off today. It'll talk to the brains behind, to the brains behind the Zambesi label about why it's so important to the industry to have this week back up and running. Plus, we've got reaction from the Black Ferns World Cup opener. First, here's Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
The new director of the Royal New Zealand Police College is eyeing up changes to the training regime after concerns were revealed about officers' preparedness. A survey of training officers released to our newsroom found 55% feel new cops were barely or not at all well equipped with knowledge of arrest and charge procedures. Superintendent Sam Keats says the feedback highlights the need to improve in a number of areas. He says a curriculum review is underway with changes planned for early next year. A clear message around driving under the influence after the jailing of a 20-year-old for killing one of his friends in a crash. Alexander Lucas Kerr has been sentenced to 27 months in prison after his friend died and the other was severely injured. Kerr had cannabis in his system when he crashed his car in a semi-rural part of Havelock North on January 2nd. Criminal lawyer Steve Cullen told Ryan Bridge this is a stark warning of what can happen.
Given that the starting point's in the vicinity of 4.5 to 5 years imprisonment, there's an inevitability that anybody caught in that type of situation will find themselves behind bars.
The trial of a man accused of 5 counts of murder and 2 counts of arson begins in the capital today. Wellington's Loafers Lodge broke out in flames in May 2023, just after midnight, killing 5 people. The man has interim name suppression, and it's believed he may pursue a defence of insanity in the High Court. Police have been speaking with a woman believed to be the mother of a baby whose body was found in Auckland's Albert Park. A council contractor discovered the newborn about 7 yesterday morning. Detective Senior Sergeant Ash Matthews says officers have been carrying out a scene examination and a post-mortem will take place this week. Auckland Deputy Mayor Desley Simpson says it's extremely distressing and her thoughts go out to all those affected. The Ministry of Education spending record amounts of money on vandalism repairs. Almost $9.7 million has been set aside for schools this year, 17% more than 5 years ago. In total, vandals have cost taxpayers about $57 million since 2020. That includes top-up funding. In the last financial year, $765,000 of this was given to schools hit the hardest. The ministry says it doesn't track vandalism-related costs, as boards are responsible for managing the damage. The promise of reinvention for New Zealand Fashion Week opening on Auckland's waterfront today. Emerging designers will decorate the runway with their collections in a display of the ever-changing and dynamic fashion landscape. Board Director Liam Taylor says a lot of thought's gone into Fashion Week's role in the wider retail industry.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Kazuma Kobori has achieved the best result of his golfing career with a second equal finish at the British Masters, earning $523,000. The Black Ferns have dominated Spain in their opening Rugby World Cup match in York. The Broncos have jumped to 5th and guaranteed a playoff spot on the NRL League ladder after beating the Knights 46-12 in Newcastle. 2021 Women's Champion Emma Raducanu has advanced in straight sets on the first day of singles at the US Tennis Open.
I have had it with vicious dogs and their useless owners. We've all seen this, more reports at the weekend. How many more children and pets will we tolerate being maimed and punctured to death before this actually gets taken seriously? I've personally had 3 people in my life who've been out for a walk. You know, they got wee pup on a leash because that's what you're supposed to do, following the rules. They've paid the $200 registration fee, so doing all the right things, only to be attacked by some absolutely vicious mongrel that should not be on the streets. And I mean, absolutely ripped to pieces, puncture wounds, owners taken to the ground, blood everywhere. They're in shock. There's hospital visits for the humans, and then, of course, for the pets, there's very expensive animal bills, if they are lucky to survive. The road to recovery after that is a long one, and the poor old pups often never shake the anxiety for the rest of their lives, nor do the owners. Kids' faces look like they've been put through the butchers. It's gruesome stuff. In Auckland alone last year, 3,000 attacks, 15,000 roaming dogs reported. This is a crisis. Council says they're cracking down, but clearly it's not working or too slow. Victims say the owners are almost treated like they're the victims as well. Here's what the law says. If a dog is attacking you, or you witness a dog attacking another person or another dog, you can use force to stop it. Know that. If your actions will stop that attack from continuing, you have the right to seize or destroy the dog in the moment. The option is there if it can be done safely and potentially save a child's life.
Herald Now weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning into the final week of winter, and it starts off okay, but things do take a turn later in the week. For now though, high pressure for most, with showers tied up in an easterly flow for the northern half of the North Island. But the lower south is mostly fine, with morning frost and maybe some fog. For Invercargill, you can expect the odd shower from around midday. Plenty of low cloud or fog, especially out east here. It will clear for a time this afternoon with light winds. Not bad for the lower North Island, with morning frost and mostly fine skies. Could be some afternoon cloud over Taranaki and the chance of afternoon showers for Taumaranui. Maybe foggy for spots around Taupo, Rotorua and Gisborne, then the risk of showers for most from the afternoon. Although Hawke's Bay, you should stay dry. And partly cloudy for the upper north, with a few showers everywhere, maybe heavy too for Whangarei and Whitianga, all with easterlies.
Are our new cops on the beat up to scratch? A survey of 230 senior officers who oversee new cops who've graduated from police college is scathing of their preparedness. Barely equipped to do basic duties like knowing how to make an arrest or preparing evidence or witness statements for court. The Herald has an exclusive investigation on this today. Here's Michael Morra with the details.
Superintendent Sam Keats is just 6 weeks into a new role as Director of the Royal New Zealand Police College, and already he's eyeing changes to the training regime, following a critical internal survey of recruit competency, a survey obtained exclusively by the Herald.
What they've told us is important, that we now think very pragmatically about our response and how we improve training going forwards.
230 senior police gave feedback about how well-equipped new cops were for frontline duties after they'd finished training here. The results were hardly a glowing endorsement. 55% felt new officers were barely or not at all well-equipped with knowledge of policies to make an arrest or lay charges. More than 80% felt the same about the abilities of new staff when it came to file preparation. That's work like taking witness statements and preparing court files. Training also fell short when it came to knowledge of police intelligence systems, rules for holding people in custody, and the use of police radios.
Many of our members question at times the practical nature of the training and how well it serves recruits once they graduate.
Police Minister Mark Mitchell has already increased the time recruits spend at the college from 16 to 20 weeks, but Cahill thinks that's still too short.
What are we talking in terms of longer, doubling the time or making it 30 weeks?
You're probably talking, to be honest, another month, another 4 weeks is probably the balance that we would think could be worth exploring.
Is 20 weeks here at the college long enough?
The 20 weeks is only the beginning of the learning.
But it is very short when compared to other jurisdictions, for example, Australia, which is 28 weeks.
Look, as part of our continuous improvement, we've got to think of all parts, including the duration. I can't commit to whether or not we would look to change that, but we've got to consider it in terms of the ongoing learning of somebody once they complete their recruit course here.
Recruits currently do 1 week in the field as part of the college's program. Once graduated, new officers then have 2 years of mentoring on the front line as a probationary constable. Keats says more practical training at the college level may be needed.
That, for me, is certainly something we need to consider very deliberately.
But how did we even get here? Tasha Penny is the Police Assistant Commissioner with us live. Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
How did it get this bad? Those numbers aren't great.
No, and we wouldn't say it's bad. I mean, we changed the 16-week course in January 24 to do 20 weeks now. I mean, in that same survey, there's some pretty good findings around the understanding of tactical options, legislation. But look, we don't step away. We want to be the best we can. And so we are taking this survey really seriously. And as your story said, we've got a review underway already to go where to after this.
Tasha, 83% of the senior staff thought the rookies were barely or not well at all prepared when it came to paperwork. That's crucial for evidence gathering to get cases through court.
So, Ryan, it's really interesting because I've been around 34 years and I think we've always had feedback around how we need to improve our recruits. But the reality is from this survey, you're right. It says that post-arrest and in relation to doing cases and file management, we really need to challenge ourselves about how we get better. I mean, for a long time, we've said that a recruit straight out of college will take on average about 3 months to be able to do a file by themselves. That's why they go into a sort of coaching, mentoring for 2 years as a probationary constable. This is the beginning of their policing apprenticeship. We don't think we're pushing anyone out who can do the job 100% to the standard of seasoned operators.
Totally. But they do. So you're saying for 2 years they never go out either on their own or with another recent graduate. They're always paired with someone more senior for 2 years?
No, I'm not saying that. What
So
I'm
given
saying,
that, Tasha, given that, you've got officers out there, newly trained recruits who are out there, who the senior officers say overwhelmingly don't know how to do basic procedures when arresting someone. Do you have confidence if a rookie goes out on the beat today and arrests somebody that they'll follow procedures? Because your senior cops don't think they will.
I know what I'm confident on is that our TOs are very good, Ryan, and our senior officers. When they first go out of college, they are not by themselves when they first come out. They go through a process. What this survey has shown us, and we've done a far greater look than this, is whilst our officers can identify offences and make arrests, the issues are around that post-arrest procedure, our case management. We need to look at that and make sure that we are improving that and the changes we'll make early next year to the curriculum.
Okay. What about the length of time, the 20 weeks, and Mark Mitchell's put it up. Does it need to be longer than that? Will you ask him for longer?
Well, look, after the review, we'll definitely ask for longer if we need to. So, looking across the world, Ontario does 13 weeks. Queensland, I think, is 34 weeks. Absolutely. We will have a really strong look at this. And if we need to increase it, including deployment week. So one of the big things is, that experiential learning. At the moment, they do 1 week on deployment. That's actually in the field. We may need to lift this up, but I won't solutionise it yet. But if we need to extend it, then we will.
So okay, all right. I'm having trouble actually hearing your answers at the moment, but we will persist. How long, in terms of the practical training, how long are people getting practically going out there and actually, being on the street or having scenarios run with them versus being in the classroom?
So we do 1 week of deployment out of the 20. So that is 1 week in the field, and that is an area that we will be looking at under review, whether it's enough. And if it's not enough, we'll increase it.
All right. And how would you describe, overall, reading this report, how would you describe the feeling amongst senior police towards the new recruits?
I am confident that our police officers treat our recruits really well. We need to listen to our senior officers, though. We need to make sure that we are making changes, and to that end, we're getting a whole lot of them in, and they will be our reference group as we go forward and make the change. But Ryan, I do stand by the recruits we're pushing out. The large majority of them are fantastic. A few of them do have issues, and like I said, just because you graduate from college, we have a pretty strict assessment process through the probationary period as well.
All right. It's nothing to do with the government trying to meet a target here?
No, absolutely not. We welcome the target. We will always welcome additional police officers to help us keep this country safe.
Tasha, appreciate your time this morning. That is from the police, Tasha Penny, the Assistant Police Commissioner. It is 14 minutes after 7 now. If you've got feedback on this morning, perhaps if you are a police officer yourself, do get in touch. Ryan at nzherald.co.nz. Horowhenua's mayor is welcoming a tripling of police resource after a spate of gang shootings in Levin. Bernie Wandin says residents in the town have been left shaken, and he's urging people to come forward with information about the violence. And Bernie's with us, happens to be in Auckland and joins us at the desk. Bernie, good morning.
Good morning.
So you had 4 shootings in 4 days.
So yes, very worrying and concerning. Obviously, look, inter-gang related by the sound of things. Where, and I don't understand the dynamics of the murky gang world, but when it spills out into the community like this has done over the past week, it is very concerning for our community.
Yeah, because you've got other people who might not be in gangs but might be around when something goes wrong.
Exactly, and it's been in amongst the streets of the town and different parts of the town as well, so it is really concerning.
So what are people saying, your residents saying to you?
They want it stopped, obviously, and these people to go away, because most of them, I think, are from out of town anyway. I think they're trying to have some power struggles within the gangs, and they don't like what's going on, so they're using these methods to try and send a message to their own people.
So what, because it's mongrel mob and nomads around your way, isn't it?
It is, mainly.
So
yes.
what, so the other gangs coming in from out of town, or nomads and mongrel mob members you think may be coming in from out of town?
I think it's members from those gangs coming to town.
To do what?
Well, I think they don't like whatever's going on in their world, and they want to send a message to those that are local that they want to change that. And unfortunately, it's now resulted in these number of firearm incidents, which is obviously, really concerning for our community.
But police have upped their numbers. That's good.
They have.
Does it change anything?
Well, their ability to be able to use that law where they can stop vehicles, search them. They've already discovered a number of firearms, knives and weapons within those vehicles, so that does make a difference. But I think what's probably happening is that everyone's going to ground and waiting till that finishes. But hopefully, as police have been very positive and reactive to what is going on, and hopefully that will continue.
Thing is, you'll never get rid of them, will you?
No, you won't. And it sends a really bad message to those in the community to understand that there are gangs within the community. Normally we don't have any trouble like this, but this is uncharacteristic and out of character for sure.
Yeah. So in terms of the going forward, the gang patch ban is something the government talks about. Do you notice there are fewer people wearing patches around town?
Well, I haven't seen any at all. We don't have a huge gang presence, in the middle of town at all. We've had isolated incidents over the years, but nothing like this at all.
Right, so it's a bit of a game changer.
It is a bit of a game changer, yeah.
All right. Well, let's hope it gets sorted soon, Bernie. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
It's Bernie Wandin who's with us, the Horowhenua Mayor. Time now is 17 after 7 and you're watching Herald Now. Prime Minister is with us after 8 o'clock this morning. His take on how our two-speed economy is going. Next, changes could be coming for the foreign buyer ban, what it'll mean, and what does it do to our house prices? All ahead.
Are you considering a DIY kitchen but just not sure if you can do it? Well, it's not as hard as you think. With You Do It DIY Kitchens, you're in safe hands. And the customer support team really know their stuff. After all, they design and manufacture everything here in New Zealand. You do it and you save money. So choose You Do It, the affordable DIY Kiwi kitchen with a great reputation. Visit newsroom.co.nz.
A lot of radio shows like to say they're with you in the morning.
Here at The Hits, we like to go the extra mile.
Not all of us get to experience this.
Come on, you're running late.
It's going to be a great day today, babes. I can feel it. Spit. You see, when we say we're with you, we actually mean it.
Oh, don't forget Sarah, you've got social netball tonight. And Mark's working late again.
Jono and Ben with you in the morning and anytime on iHeartRadio. On The Hits.
I'm Hayden Scott and I'm a knife maker. I make knives from my workshop at home in West Auckland. Yeah, my previous life I was a chef, did that for 25 years, but I had this knife making thing that I was doing and had been doing for some time, and so that transition from finishing that 25-year career and taking the plunge into full-time knife maker, I had been building up to that, but I still had to take a leap.
Ah, here she is. How's the business going?
Good, actually. We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference, but 2 degrees has the most satisfied customers. With Flex, we get instant control of phone plans, data usage, and cost centre reporting. And they're the fastest growing business network.
Can have what she's having.
It is 20 after 7 on your Monday morning. You're watching Herald Now. Expected changes to the foreign buyers ban could allow the ultra-rich, those holding a golden visa, back into the property market. Prime Minister says a deal on the foreign buyer rules has been done. This has been hinted for a very long time. The legislation, he reckons, could be enacted later this year. Shamu Jacob is Simplicity's chief economist with us this morning. Shamu, good morning.
Good morning.
So where do you, well, first of all, is it going to mean that we will be competing with them? Or if you've got a $5 million minimum, who really cares? We're not that rich.
Yeah, well, it's both of those things. I think the first thing was when the foreign buyer came in, did we actually see any difference in New Zealand house prices? The reality is that foreign buyers probably made at most 2 to 3% of our all house sales. So it didn't make much of a difference back then. And also the new kind of the lifting of the ban that's envisaged is only for the very, very expensive homes. So I don't think for most of us, we're going to see much of an impact.
It's interesting. I was reading at the weekend that there are about 7,000 livable homes at 5 million or above in New Zealand. They're mainly in Auckland and Queenstown. So the most likely situation is that these ultra wealthy will end up buying houses there, right?
Absolutely. And I think, of course, we have issues with housing supply. We have issues with unaffordable housing. But the reality is for most of us and the people who are experiencing housing pressures, it's not at the top end of the housing market. So, my kind of view still is that because the foreign buyers didn't actually make much of a difference before the ban came in, after the ban came in, the lifting of it is not going to make much of a difference, especially when it's only really focused on those very expensive homes.
Because we don't know the detail yet. We've got the Prime Minister on us after 8 and we'll ask him. But what level do you think would be reasonable?
Oh, look, again, in my view, there was actually not any real evidence that foreign buyers were making that much of a difference. House sales over the course of the last few years, they've gone up and down by 40, 50%. Whereas foreign buyers only make about 2 to 3% of house sales. So we don't really need the help of foreigners, but they kind of come in at the margin of it. So really, I think it's more about the signaling of it to tell New Zealanders that we have designed this policy so it's not about everyday New Zealanders, but it's for the very top end. We're trying to attract these ultra-rich people. You might have your own views about that, but it's not going to affect the housing market for everyday New Zealanders.
So do you reckon just get rid of the ban altogether? Because I suppose at the end of the day, if you've got people coming here, foreigners who want to buy property in New Zealand, are they going to buy houses that you and I would buy?
Yes, I think in the past there was some pressure. So I think what we had seen, for example, is quite a lot of the interest from Australian investors were for rental properties in places like Rotorua. So yes, that competition can absolutely come into the domestic market. So the foreign buyer ban, I think, pushed some of that out. But I guess the question is, did we see a material difference in home prices in New Zealand because the foreigners weren't here? The answer is no. We had extremely high house prices during COVID when nobody was here, there was no immigration, we did it all by ourselves.
What about this idea that you might do, because obviously Queenstown, Auckland, where the most expensive ones are, If foreigners who are on the golden visa want to come here and want to live in Taranaki or something, then they will probably have to build a big, giant, expensive home, presumably. What about this idea of an upper quartile, where you might say, well, you could buy a $3 million home in Taranaki, but you'd have to buy a $5 million plus in Queenstown?
Typically what we have seen where those boundaries are, they will tend to buy maybe a big farm and then build something on it. So I think it's less limiting than you might think in terms of that. So it's really on the wider definitions of it. So we already have a pretty good process with the Overseas Investment Office in terms of being able to access farmland and other things. So I don't think the regions are going to miss out from foreigners who want to live in these places. As you know, we've had plenty of really expensive vineyards that have been sold to foreign investors and the like. So I don't think we should be concerned that the province are going to miss out. But we know that part of the reason why people want to live in places like Auckland and Queenstown is because they're extremely desirable destinations.
Yeah, they're beautiful places. I appreciate you. Not that Taranaki's not. Shamu, thank you.
It's beautiful.
Shamu Jacob, Simplicity Chief Economist. It is 25 minutes after 7. Coming up after 7:30, Garth Bray has the latest business news, thanks to our partners 2 Degrees. Next, the Black Ferns got their World Cup defence underway this morning with a win over Spain, a thumping over Spain. Former Black Ferns captain Les Elder is in after the break to break down the game.
Speaker City Acting Prime Minister, does he stand by all of You don't shout out like some bunch of clowns at university. My message to the unions is very clear. Don't use...
The New Zealand Herald, news worth knowing.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decided to build the GGs because they're good quality that they always provide us.
They help us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ Gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
After 20 seasons on the footy field, it's fair to say I know a thing or two about resilience. Digging deep when the going gets tough. Just like Kaiwaka wet weather gear. Kaiwaka's been in the game for 200 seasons. 50 years of facing up to the elements, getting the job done and coming back for more. And that's guaranteed for a lifetime. Kaiwaka, designed to perform, made to outlast.
Of course we can set up the new smart TV for you. We could also put it on the wall for you too.
Want to keep your family safe online? We've got tips for that.
Yeah, I can show you how to use the AI on your laptop.
Teaching the kids to do laundry? These washing machines auto-dispense the perfect amount of detergent, making it super easy to learn.
Wait, what's a Ninja Creamy?
Got tech questions? We've got answers. With 66 stores nationwide, your tech experts ready to help.
Welcome back. It is 27 minutes after 7 o'clock. Coming up after 8 o'clock this morning, we'll speak to the Prime Minister. Obviously, Gaza is an issue that we'll raise. The UN has said it's official. Sadly, there is famine inside Gaza. We've seen the pictures. We know what's happening there. But the UN has now said famine is happening in Gaza. Now, the Prime Minister has said he's not going to move on his timeline of recognising the state of Palestine. That's going to continue through till September. The discussions on that will have some kind of resolution by September, by the UN meeting. The question is, would New Zealand changing its timeline on recognising Palestine affect the famine in Gaza? No, of course it wouldn't. But we'll ask him about it nonetheless after 8 this morning. If you've got anything you want to say about our topics this morning, do flick us an email at ryan@nzherald.co.nz. After a bit of a slow start, the Black Ferns have powered to a 54-8 win over Spain in their first game of the World Cup. Les Elder is a Sky Sports commentator and former Black Ferns captain, joining us now. Les, good morning.
Morning everyone.
Morena, good to have you here. So what did you make of the first game?
I think it was very what you'd expect of a first game, especially when you're running different combinations. So it was quite clunky. I don't think they would have been happy with how crisp it looked, but they would have been proud of their intent and that they were able to expose a whole lot of girls to Rugby World Cup.
Yeah, the buzz looks amazing, just from what I could see this morning before coming on air. What about the injuries? We've got 3 injuries, and these are good players too. It's a bit of a worry.
Yeah, I think Aislete Inga, it looked like hers was a niggle more, that they're just managing that. There was no need to stress her through a game that they convincingly were going to win. Amy Duplessis, it would be interesting to see how that bounces back. She did continue to play, so that's a good sign. Kaipo Olsen-Baker was probably the one that freaked the whole nation out. Such a key player for the Black Ferns, and was ruled out of 2022 World Cup because of an injury. So maybe it was just the fear factor of what could potentially be that got the reaction we got from Kaipo, but we have heard it maybe isn't as bad as what it seemed.
Oh, good. Okay, that is good news to hear. And what about the defence? Because Spain only scored their only try in the last sort of 10, 15 minutes, so they must be happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would probably just being a former Black Fern myself, you've got high expectations of these girls. So I would have probably not been happy that they even put points on us. But you're always looking at ways to be better, right? So they'll take a lot of good things out of it, but there are definitely some things they need to tidy up as we start to hit some of the bigger games.
And then we've got Japan.
Yes, so I think you're going to get a similar game to what you've seen today. We'll probably still see some combinations being played. I don't think we're going to see our strongest team yet. That'll probably come when we face Ireland in week 3.
Hey, Liz, really appreciate your time this morning. We'll let you get on with your day. Great day for the Black Ferns this morning. It is 7:30 at the Women's Rugby World Cup. That was Les Elder, former Black Fern captain herself. Here's Neva.
Herald NOW News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
The new director of the Royal New Zealand Police College is eyeing up changes to the training regime after concerns were revealed about officers' preparedness. A survey of training officers released to our newsroom found 55% feel new cops were barely or not at all well equipped with knowledge of arrest and charge procedures. Superintendent Sam Keats says the feedback highlights the need to improve in a number of areas. He says a curriculum review is underway with changes planned for early next year. A clear message around driving under the influence after the jailing of a 20-year-old for killing one of his friends in a crash. Alexander Lucas Kerr has been sentenced to 27 months in prison after his friend died and the other was severely injured. Kerr had cannabis in his system when he crashed his car in a semi-rural part of Havelock North on January 2nd. Criminal lawyer Steve Cullen told Ryan Bridge this is a stark warning of what can happen.
Given that the starting point's in the vicinity of 4.5 to 5 years imprisonment, there's an inevitability that anybody caught in that type of situation will find themselves behind bars.
The trial of a man accused of 5 counts of murder and 2 counts of arson begins in the capital today. Wellington's Loafers Lodge broke out in flames in May 2023, just after midnight, killing 5 people. The man has interim name suppression, and it's believed he may pursue a defence of insanity in the High Court. Police have been speaking with a woman believed to be the mother of a baby whose body was found in Auckland's Albert Park. A council contractor discovered the newborn about 7 yesterday morning. Detective Senior Sergeant Ash Matthews says officers have been carrying out a scene examination and a post-mortem will take place this week. Auckland Deputy Mayor Desley Simpson says it's extremely distressing and her thoughts go out to all those affected. The Ministry of Education spending record amounts of money on vandalism repairs. Almost $9.7 million has been set aside for schools this year, 17% more than 5 years ago. In total, vandals have cost taxpayers about $57 million since 2020. That includes top-up funding. In the last financial year, $765,000 of this was given to schools hit the hardest. The ministry says it doesn't track vandalism-related costs, as boards are responsible for managing the damage. The promise of reinvention for New Zealand Fashion Week opening on Auckland's waterfront today. Emerging designers will decorate the runway with their collections in a display of the ever-changing and dynamic fashion landscape. Board Director Liam Taylor says a lot of thought's gone into Fashion Week's role in the wider retail industry.
Herald NOW Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Kazuma Kabori has achieved the best result of his golfing career with a second equal finish at the British Masters, earning $523,000. The Black Ferns have dominated Spain in their opening Rugby World Cup match in York. The Broncos have jumped to 5th and guaranteed a playoff spot on the NRL League ladder after beating the Knights 46-12 in Newcastle. 2021 Women's Champion Emma Raducanu has advanced in straight sets on the first day of singles at the US Tennis Open.
You're watching Herald Now on your Monday morning. I was reading an interesting piece at interest.co.nz over the weekend, and it was about, we spoke last week about this electricity issue, you know, power prices going up, government's cracking down, and they're going to make some changes, some tweaks to the sector in the hope that there's more competition and that prices will come down, right? This is the idea. Gen tailors, at the moment, gen tailors who are generating the electricity but also selling the electricity in the retail side, are giving themselves, this is what the Commerce Commission says, giving themselves discounts. So they generate, then they offer their own arms, retail arms, a discount. And the government's come out, the regulators come out and said, can't do that. Well, actually, what you're going to have to do is offer those same discounts to all the other players in the market to try and even it out. There was an interesting piece at the weekend. This is from Richard Mead, Centre for Applied Energy Economics and Policy and Research at Griffith University. He made the point, what business is going to want to do that? None. No firm wants to offer their rivals a lower price that come from investing in their infrastructure and generating their electricity. So instead, he reckons what they will do is just increase the amount that they charge themselves. So increase the amount that they are charging themselves, get rid of the discounts altogether, and then in doing so, keep the rate that they're charging everyone else the same. And the net result of all of that is the opposite of what the regulators say will happen, that prices could actually go up for us. So be careful what you wish for. 25 away from 8, here's weather.
Herald Now weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning into the final week of winter, and it starts off okay, but things do take a turn later in the week. For now though, high pressure for most, with showers tied up in an easterly flow for the northern half of the North Island. But the lower south is mostly fine, with morning frost and maybe some fog. For Invercargill, you can expect the odd shower from around midday. Plenty of low cloud or fog, especially out east here. It will clear for a time this afternoon with light winds. Not bad for the lower North Island, with morning frost and mostly fine skies. Could be some afternoon cloud over Taranaki and the chance of afternoon showers for Taumaranui. Maybe foggy for spots around Taupo, Rotorua and Gisborne, then the risk of showers for most from the afternoon. Although Hawke's Bay, you should stay dry. And partly cloudy for the upper north, with a few showers everywhere, maybe heavy too for Whangarei and Whitianga, all with easterlies.
23 minutes away from 8. A woman has been charged following the discovery of a dead baby's body in Albert Park in Auckland yesterday morning. A 36-year-old woman has been charged with concealing the dead body of a child and will appear in Auckland District Court today. Detective Senior Sergeant Ash Matthews says police were called to the scene at about 7 o'clock yesterday after a park worker discovered the infant. Police are calling it a tragedy for everyone involved. They are not looking for anyone else in connection to the death. Right, it is 22 minutes away from 8 o'clock. PM's here after 8, and it is time now to talk business with our partners 2 Degrees. Did you know our banks could be carrying $1 billion worth of mortgages over homes that are at risk of being swept away in a flood? Garth Bray from Business Desk has the alarming stat this morning. Garth, good morning.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shocker, isn't it, Ryan? And this has come out of, you were talking about Griffith University, some research from Griffith and Otago and Earth Sciences New Zealand, who've been taking a look at this problem with some data from NIWA, Cotality and other places. And they have pinned this down to about 6,500 homes across the lending books of our 5 major banks, and say that this is basically underappreciated risk of that asset being swept away either in a flood or by sea level rise. Obviously one is sudden, the other is gradual and easier to spot. And I mean, just to put it in context, I mean, that's $996 million worth of homes, but there's about $380 billion worth of lending.
It's a drop in the ocean.
Maybe not so good for the people who, I mean, obviously a worry for the people whose homes those are, but for the banks and for the banking sector and for our ability to have confidence in it, what's the risk there? The numbers suggest that it puts a bit of a dent in some of the capital adequacy that the banks have, but not enough to completely erode it to the point where the Reserve Bank needs to be panicking. So it's a nudge, but it's a warning to them really that they need to take a closer look, because the 1 in 100 year flooding events and the risk of rivers bursting their banks and so on hasn't quite been worked out in this one. And so they're saying there could be a higher risk. Now, interesting, some of the experts sort of looking at this said, well, could this be a problem if you've got, say, Kiwi Bank coming on stream wanting to aggressively lend more? Are they going to be picking up basically the riskier assets out there as bigger banks dump them?
Interesting.
And Kiwi Bank saying, no, we're across this, we know about our risk and so on, we're taking a close look at all this sort of stuff, and we're looking at climate adaptation, will hopefully to sort of work that through.
The other thing I was reading about on Friday, the select committee that's recommended, is urging the Reserve Bank to revisit its how much capital it has to hold. But the farmers in particular are pushing for this, right?
Yeah, right. Well, this came out of the, basically it was an NZ First proposal, I think, to take a look at rural lending, or woke lending as they were calling it. They thought that a whole bunch of green lending measures were pushing up the effective price of other kinds of rural lending. No sort of firm conclusions about that, although I think the committee basically said, yeah, we do want the Reserve Bank to develop some transparent national guidelines for banks on how they apply climate-related risk and so on, back to that earlier thing. But they're also saying, look, straight away you need to look again at the capital adequacy ratios. This is, as you say, the amount of money that major banks have to hold in reserve when they're lending, and they say, well, the higher that number is, the less lending we can actually do if we've got to keep a certain portion aside. I think that it started at about 10.5% of whatever the lending book was when this thing first came in 2021. It's been bumped up from 13.5% to 14.5% this year, and it's supposed to hit 18% over the next couple of years, just to sort of ensure that there's enough fat in the system. Right? They're saying, well, that next jump, forget about it. That'll make it easier and cheaper for banks to lend. It could obviously help the bottom lines of those 4 big banks. There's some concerns about whether it'll really help the smaller ones, because those bigger ones, if they're more competitive, might drown it out.
But the idea is that you make the system safer.
Yeah.
So that it should everything go tits up. A bank falls over, we're not the taxpayer left picking up the tab.
But the point is that they're now consulting. Apparently they've got some callings to the press in today for a bit of a chat about how the Reserve Bank's going to put out some consultation on this to say, yes, we might look at abandoning that next level.
Right.
Too high on the old next bit of insurance.
Take it down a notch.
Yeah.
Retail, what's going on?
Well, about mid-morning we're expecting the Q2 retail sales data to come out. It'll probably be pretty soft because we know the economy hasn't been great. We know that card spending has been down. But what we're also seeing is a lot of gross margin pressure, on the retailers. That's the gap between what they bought it for from China or wherever and what they're actually ultimately able to sell it to. And it's down about 140 basis points in some, which is quite significant for some retailers. So, in other words, good time to go shopping if you can afford it, basically. And they'll be trying to push some of those sales through because they're heading into reporting results in the next month or so. So try and make the books look good. So your warehouse, I think they cut about 8% off 1,300 lines earlier this year to try and hang on to their market share. They're all going to be out there pushing for your dollar.
All of that means, as you say, their margin's getting a bit squeezed too. Garth, good to see you. Garth Bray, Business Desk. Thanks to our partners, 2 degrees this morning. It is 18 minutes away from 8 next. 2 years after Cyclone Gabrielle's scenic drive on Auckland's west coast has finally reopened. Local businesses are absolutely over the moon, and one of them is with us next. Then later, it's Fashion Week. Kiwi label Zambesi's been there for the whole journey. Why they think it's still important to be in the industry after 8:30.
Maximising productivity, what have you got?
Well, if we switch to 2 degrees, with Flex for Business, we can instantly manage data usage, employee mobile plans, and cost centre reporting, saving us time and money. Cool. I'll get onto that then.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Moroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
In 1985, my grandfather set out to make the world a better tea. That's why we grow our own, unlike other tea companies. Then pick the best leaves by hand, not machine, and pack it right here in Sri Lanka. But it's not just the taste that makes our tea better. 15% of our profit goes to humanity and to the elephants. As my grandfather said,
Do try it.
You Do It delivers high-quality New Zealand-made flat-pack DIY kitchen cabinetry. With flexible widths at your fingertips, it makes designing easy. All at an affordable price because you order online and cut out the middleman. You can even upgrade your dream kitchen with You Do It stylish and clever options, like choosing wall cabinets with overhanging doors, or select from a range of pull-out storage solutions. Add premium soft-close drawers and ask to stretch the height, width or depth of your cabinets. Upgrade your kitchen today and head to newsroom.co.nz. Ready?
One Roof Property. Love where you live.
Welcome back. It is 7:45. A mission to remove Auckland's level crossings, that's where your railway tracks and your roads intersect, is underway at the moment with the aim of improving safety, but also removing congestion, freeing up the city's roads, all that kind of good stuff. An $800 million project has kicked off in Takanini and Glen Innes to replace the level crossings with 8 overbridges for cars and pedestrians. Joining us now is Dean Kimpton, the Chief Executive of Auckland Council. Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
Good, thank you. How dangerous are level crossings?
Level crossings, right where we get intersection between road and rail, has resulted in about 1,240 collisions or near misses over the last decade. So these are dangerous. And what we find too is, from a safety perspective, people seem to be willing to take more risks to get across when they think it's safe to do so. Clearly it's not. So when you've got 260 tonnes of train coming at you at 50 to 80 kilometres an hour, the chance of survival is slim if you get hit.
So it's not that people don't know that they're there or don't know that the bells are ringing, they're just trying their luck.
Sadly, that is the case. But remember, it's not just about safety. Safety is really important. It also enables us to reduce congestion and increase movement of vehicles and freight, people getting around. And what we find is that some of the frustration for waiting results in people taking risks.
Yeah.
So if we can remove these, we result in a far better road network and rail network.
Same with people running red, going on the yellow light, because I'm sick of this. Yeah. You know, I've been in this traffic for an hour. I just want to get home. So yes. People do it. They take risks.
People take risks.
All right. So how many have we got in the city at the moment?
Yeah. So there's about 45 left to do. We've already done a number as a result of CRL, which we're grateful for. We negotiated with the government to accelerate, and council, to accelerate funding to remove the next group of 8, which is around Takanini and Glen Innes, which is a great result, which will mean that we can reduce the frustration, like I said, for that part of the Southern Line in Auckland.
They're bloody expensive to do, aren't they?
800 plus million to remove 8 is expensive. Yes, I agree, but the cost of not doing it, and it also, if we get it right, we'll actually get greater public transport outcomes as well. Remember, we're turning CRL on. That's a $6 billion investment. So if we can enable better movement, safer movement, more reliable journey times, we really leverage the investment we've made in CRL.
How much do you think, from these 8, what do you expect in terms of congestion? How much longer, shorter will our commutes be?
Yeah, so look, that's already factored into the timetables. I think the greatest benefit will be to the road user and the pedestrian, so they won't have to wait. The trains are coming through anyway. We want them to come through in the new timetable. What we don't want is we don't want to get the road user deeply frustrated by having to wait because trains are coming through more frequently. That's why we're removing the level crossing conflict.
Yeah, all right. Hey, another thing I want to talk to you about, because it's a bugbear of mine, but this 50-cent parking meter transaction fee, I think it's called.
Sure. Yep.
So you've got no choice. When you go to pay for parking, you have no choice. You can't pay with cash. Well, you can do it online, I'm sure, with an app or something, but you can't pay with cash, can you? Can't pay with a debit card. You have to pay with a credit card.
Yeah. So
and you get a 50-cent fee. Doesn't matter how much you're paying for the parking. Could be $3, could be 10. You have to pay 50 cents. And the government's trying to get rid of these extra fees. Every other council, every other parking administrator in this country is now reviewing it, except you. Why?
Oh, we're reviewing it too.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, 100%. Of course. I get annoyed by the same thing that you do. We are going to review this. We're waiting to see what the legislation delivers us. Remember, when we went with contactless payments on the buses and the ferries and the trains, there's no transaction fee on that. So we will review the parking one, but we haven't made a decision yet. We want to see what the legislation holds. And for all your users out there, all your listeners, if you use the AT parking app, there is no transaction fee, and you only pay for what you use.
Okay, this is interesting because I've not heard this from you guys before, because you've changed your tune on what the fee was actually for. Last year, Auckland Transport said it was for merchant fees and for fixing up, maintaining the terminals. Now you're saying actually it's just about maintaining the terminals. So which is it?
Look, I'm not going to go back into the past because I recognise some of the language has changed. I've now come up to speed on this issue, and that's the discussion that I've had internally. We are going to review it in line with the legislation.
When did you decide to review it?
Over the last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when the old language where they said it was for merchant fees and for fixing the terminals, was that wrong or was that right?
Oh, no, the transaction fee does go to real cost. There's about, there are real costs around what we have to pay to the banks and maintaining the terminals. We get vandalism, so there's real cost in that. And if we don't, it depends on how you recover that cost, because it ends up as a cost to the ratepayer otherwise.
Yes, but the government's saying you can't call it what you're calling it, right?
So if we need to change it, or if we need to change how we manage the recovery, then we will do that.
Well, this is good. Is this because Scott Simpson came out and gave the hard word?
Well, he's given the hard word to everybody about their surcharges and transaction fees.
Did he say something to you guys directly?
No, not directly.
Okay, but you saw what he said in the media.
I'm sitting in your seat. I pay these transaction fees and surcharges like you do. So we are having a look. That's my commitment.
All right. Appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for coming in, Dean. That is Dean Kimpton, the Chief Executive at Auckland Transport. Time is 10 away from 8. The road between Titirangi and Piha has fully reopened 2.5 years after being destroyed by Cyclone Gabrielle. That is welcome news for businesses who've struggled to stay afloat amid a double whammy of weather chaos and pandemic, of course. Joining us this morning is Rahul Appal, who owns the Olive Bar and Kitchen in Titirangi. Good morning, how are you?
Morning, Ryan. How are you? Thanks for having me, bro.
Oh, good to have you here. How are you feeling about this?
Oh, man, we got our lifeline back. Yeah, it's been hard last few years.
How hard? Tell us about it.
It's very hard. We started in 2019, and then we hit with the COVID, and then there's restrictions, and then in 2023 summers, we got these floodings, and it took about 3 years worth of job from us with the scenic drive being closed. And, you know, it's been hard. It's been tough. We got our lifeline back. That's what I can say.
Where do you get most of your business? Where does it come from?
We used to get most of the business from the people going towards Piha and coming from Piha. But it's just completely changed. So we have to maneuver a couple of things, focus on locals and stuff. And then there we go. We're thankful for our locals, you know. If it was anywhere else in the world, we would have been long gone.
Does it feel like you can finally start dreaming or planning of, you know, maybe expanding, maybe getting more people, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So we have just especially with the last couple of days was so buzzing, you know, it was so busy with the road opening and people going to Piha. So we have currently started hiring a couple of casuals for the summers and stuff, which is really good. It's good to have more people, you know, with more hope.
Yeah, it sounds like you need some, Rahul. Hey, what's on the menu today?
Oh, menu. So they should be cooking the fresh lamb shanks today.
Oh, that's worth going to Piha for.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm pleased to hear you've got this good news, Rahul. It's a great establishment you've got. We appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
No worries, mate. That's Rahul Appal, who's the Olive Bar and Kitchen owner. Time now is 7 minutes away from 8, and that means it's time for a look at the financial markets, brought to you by Forsyth Bar. I'm joined this morning by investment strategist Zoe Wallace to talk about the reporting season, housing market, a whole bunch of stuff. Zoe joins me now. Zoe, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
Good to see you.
You too.
And not on Zoom, finally.
Nice to be here in person.
Nice to have you here. Now, we had, of course, the Reserve Bank last week come out with 25 basis points, but they're signalling more to come, potentially down to 2.5%. What are we seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think last week's decision was a little bit more dovish and obviously talked about that a bit, but pretty clearly worried about the weakness that we're seeing coming through in the economy, particularly after a weak second quarter. Feels like we kind of go back and forth, you know, are we having seen more green shoots or are they turning brown? Are there more green shoots turning brown? It's been like that for the last couple of years, which is getting pretty tough for the average New Zealander. Again, we're seeing a few more coming through in the latest monthly data, but you know, a healthy degree of cynicism or scepticism is waiting to see, will that become self-sustaining and will the NZ economy finally be able to get firing as we get towards the end of this year and into next? Yeah,
it's just it's a vicious kind of cycle that it feels like we're in. It's kind of like I was thinking yesterday, because I'm getting a haircut this week. You know when you get a haircut and it looks good, well, you get a haircut and you're like, hey, good, I needed that to happen, but then it takes a while for it to actually look good, you know what I mean?
Settling in period?
Yeah, a couple of weeks where you sort of go through an ugly phase. Are we sort of in that right now? And hopefully, you know, it will look good soon?
Yeah, and look, I think it's not, you know, why there's pockets, it's patchy, right? So what we're seeing is the agri sector, the horticultural sector, exports are actually doing pretty well. You know, dairy prices, beef prices are all performing really strongly. That's helping our farmers. You'll have seen Fonterra obviously edged up their forecasts. So, you know, there are pockets that are doing well, but it's the big cities that are really struggling. When you look at Auckland and Wellington, you know, and that's almost 50% of the economy. They're yet to get firing, and those are the places where you're seeing the weakest housing markets, you're seeing consumers being quite conservative, you're seeing unemployment rates relatively high. So all of those pieces, you know, until you really get the engine of the economy, other engines of the economy going, it's going to take a bit of time.
And speaking of the housing market, the outlook from the Reserve Bank's projections, I mean, again, depending on where you are, you know, you look at Queenstown's Lakes, it's like nothing ever happened. There was no post-COVID slump. But for the rest of us, it's not exactly going to be taking off in a hurry.
No, pretty anemic growth is probably how you describe it. You know, flat to maybe some mild price increases of, say, 3 to 5% over the next couple of years. But look, when you look at inventory levels as well, there's a lot of stock on the market at the moment. Really is still a buyer's market at this point in time. Lower interest rates should help start to see things come through and a bit more activity pick up, but that's slow going at the moment.
What about population? I mean, immigration obviously important.
Yeah. Very important, and you know, when you think about New Zealand's natural population, we're actually having fewer and fewer kids, so our natural population's declining. We actually rely on immigration to supplement our labour force, to actually help drive economic growth as well. When you look back to 2023, you know, our population growth was over 2%. It's now below 0.5%. So pretty slow, and that means just less people in the economy spending money essentially, which means that everyone else has to work harder. So either you've got to lift productivity, or you're just going to be facing slower economic growth probably in the near term.
Picking on some of those individual companies, obviously Fonterra, wow, you know, that sale on Friday, and then you look at Sky Television, for example, profit down 58%.
Yeah, it's a real mixed bag this reporting season so far, and obviously we're hitting, you know, into the real midst of the heavyweights this week. But what we're seeing is it's pretty patchy depending on what sector you're exposed to. And the cyclicals, you know, being that it's the past 6 months, not looking forward, so far what we're seeing is that reflection of what we've been expecting to see in GDP growth playing out for a lot of those cyclical companies as well. That turnaround hasn't really taken hold as yet. This week, hopefully see a few more of those green shoots, but so far it has been pretty patchy. Yeah, all right. Zoe, thank you so much for that. Good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you.
It is Zoe Wallace with us, investment strategist with Forsyth Bar. That's thanks to our partners. Forsyth Bar. It is 3 away from 8 now. New video has emerged of an elderly woman behind the wheel of a 4-wheel drive, smashing through a glass bus shelter, plunging off a Waiheke Island wharf into the water. Police Sergeant Ray Matthews says the elderly woman had been drinking when she drove into the water at the main passenger ferry terminal on Wednesday. The woman was able to climb out of the car and was helped to safety by members of the public. Police have issued a 73-year-old woman with an infringement notice for excess breath alcohol. Maybe she thought she was on the boat already. Right, it is 2 away from 8. You're watching Herald Now. Kia Really good morning. You're watching Herald Now. I'm Ryan Bridge. It is Monday, the 25th of August. Great to have your company. Coming up on the show this hour, we're running a two-speed economy and the cities are lagging behind. Christopher Luxon, the Prime Minister, at the desk in a few moments. The reborn New Zealand Fashion Week kicks off today on the waterfront. I'll talk to the brains behind the Zambesi label about why it's important to the industry to have this event back. And what is going on with the ABs? Poor discipline, poor skills. The loss to Argentina has the alarm bells ringing. Our sports panel after 8:30 this morning. Before all of that, we'll get to Neva. But first, in some news just to hand, a woman has been charged following the discovery of a dead baby's body in Albert Park yesterday morning. A 36-year-old woman has been charged with concealing the dead body of a child and will appear in Auckland District Court today. Police are calling it a tragedy for everyone involved. They are not looking for anyone else in connection to the death. With the rest of the headlines, here's Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
The new director of the Royal New Zealand Police College is eyeing up changes to the training regime after concerns were revealed about officers' preparedness. A survey of training officers released to our newsroom found 55% feel new cops were barely or not at all well equipped with knowledge of arrest and charge procedures. Superintendent Sam Keats says the feedback highlights the need to improve in a number of areas. He says a curriculum review is underway with changes planned for early next year. A clear message around driving under the influence after the jailing of a 20-year-old for killing one of his friends in a crash. Alexander Lucas Kerr has been sentenced to 27 months in prison after his friend died and the other was severely injured. Kerr had cannabis in his system when he crashed his car in a semi-rural part of Havelock North on January 2nd. Criminal lawyer Steve Cullen told Ryan Bridge this is a stark warning of what can happen.
Given that the starting point's in the vicinity of 4.5 to 5 years imprisonment, there's an inevitability that anybody caught in that type of situation will find themselves behind bars.
The trial of a man accused of 5 counts of murder and 2 counts of arson begins in the capital today. Wellington's Loafers Lodge broke out in flames in May 2023, just after midnight, killing 5 people. The man has interim name suppression, and it's believed he may pursue a defence of insanity in the High Court. The Ministry of Education spending record amounts of money on vandalism repairs. Almost $9.7 million has been set aside for schools this year, 17% more than 5 years ago. In total, vandals have cost taxpayers about $57 million since 2020. That includes top-up funding. In the last financial year, $765,000 of this was given to schools hit the hardest. The ministry says it doesn't track vandalism-related costs, as boards are responsible for managing the damage. The promise of reinvention for New Zealand Fashion Week opening on Auckland's waterfront today. Emerging designers will decorate the runway with their collections in a display of the ever-changing and dynamic fashion landscape. Board Director Liam Taylor says a lot of thought's gone into Fashion Week's role in the wider retail industry.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Kazuma Kobori has achieved the best result of his golfing career with a second equal finish at the British Masters, earning $523,000. The Black Ferns have dominated Spain in their opening Rugby World Cup match in York. The Broncos have jumped to 5th and guaranteed a playoff spot on the NRL League ladder after beating the Knights 46-12 in Newcastle. 2021 Women's Champion Emma Raducanu has advanced in straight sets on the first day of singles at the US Tennis Open.
Herald Now Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning into the final week of winter, and it starts off okay, but things do take a turn later in the week. For now though, high pressure for most, with showers tied up in an easterly flow for the northern half of the North Island. But the lower south is mostly fine, with morning frost and maybe some fog. For Invercargill, you can expect the odd shower from around midday. Plenty of low cloud or fog, especially out east here. It will clear for a time this afternoon with light winds. Not bad for the lower North Island, with morning frost and mostly fine skies. Could be some afternoon cloud over Taranaki and the chance of afternoon showers for Taumaranui. Maybe foggy for spots around Taupo, Rotorua and Gisborne, then the risk of showers for most from the afternoon. Although Hawke's Bay, you should stay dry. And partly cloudy for the upper north, with a few showers everywhere, maybe heavy too for Whangarei and Whitianga, all with easterlies.
Welcome back. Just gone 3 minutes after 8, and it's Monday morning time for the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. Good to be with you.
Good to have you here. Let's start.
I'm pleased you love Naked Gun, that movie.
I was just talking about the weekend. It was okay.
It was okay.
The thing is, I'd see it on TV, but I wouldn't pay to go and see it again.
Is this a whole new thing you're going to build into your broadcasting game? Film critic? Is that sort of something you might look to do?
No, this is something you're trying to build into my broadcasting game. I was trying to ask you some questions about the economy.
Sorry, get focused.
Let's start there. The Major Events Fund, are you making some changes here?
I really want us to rethink what we do with the Major Events Fund, because it takes a while for events and activity to come to a country.
Yeah.
You've actually got to stuff it as a pipeline, and you've got to be thinking about it as a pipeline of activity that we've got to create. We've got a number of things happening. We've got the convention centre coming on stream, some massive conferences coming that are associated with that.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. But actually, I want Louise Upson to rethink it all a little bit.
But rethink, because Wayne Brown wants a bed tax. You've said no. You ruled that out, right?
Just for this, we've said for this term. It's not something we're interested in looking at this term.
Going into the election, you would run on something like a bed tax?
Oh, I'm not sure. It's way too soon just to think about that. Or I've just been trying to be really clear with everybody, saying it's not going to happen.
Okay. Police, in terms of the story from Michael Morrow at the Herald this morning, pretty damning report from their own officers, senior officers, about the new kids on the block. Did you see that? What do you make of
I've
that?
seen it in highlight terms, but I haven't read the full report. Obviously, that'll be for the police to read. But it feels a little bit also like, a lot of workplaces where the new generation is never quite as good as the old generation. I just would say, I meet young cops every day. I was actually with the police commissioner on Saturday night, and I met 4 awesome young police officers. They're doing a brilliant job.
Yeah, but that's different.
And,
you're saying I met 4 nice young police officers. These are the senior guys and girls who actually train the younger ones, and they're saying not up to scratch when it comes to important things like paperwork, which is how you get your convictions.
Yeah, no, well, there'll obviously be issues for the police to look at that full report and work out whether they can strengthen or improve their training, get all that. All I'm saying is that we're doing everything we can. We put $225 million into recruitment. We've actually expanded the program from a 16-week training course and brought it back to the 20 weeks in order to make sure there's more time to make sure the recruits are trained properly. We've said very clearly that we actually want to make sure the standard, we put swim tests back in place, done a number of other things as well.
But you're not, because you're also trying to increase capacity because you want more cops, because you've got to deal with New Zealand first. So you're not giving us half-baked cops for a target, are you?
We've got no interest. We're happy to miss a target. We're not going to sacrifice quality of police officers and training.
Have you told them that?
We've been very clear about this months ago, which is to say, look, it might take us a couple of months later than what we'd anticipated to get the 500 in place.
But good cops better than just
cops. We
cops.
want really well trained cops. It's really important.
Two-speed economy, Auckland in particular. You got Simon Bridges, you got Jared Kerr. I mean, you name a business leader at the moment coming out and saying you need to be spending more, you should be borrowing more, stimulus.
Yeah, look, I mean, what we can look at is genuine things that would drive proper economic activity, and we've been very agile around doing things like investment boosts, fast track, those things that actually speed something up. And just look at the projects announced in Auckland in the last 7 days. We've had the $815 million investment in level crossings, 280 extra jobs we announced yesterday. You've had the port come through in 6 months, not 5 years, in terms of its wharf.
Which is all good, but nothing, there are calls for you to do more in Auckland.
Well,
are you considering
We're
doing
open
more?
to doing more that drives genuine economic activity that's consistent with what we're trying to do with our long-term economic plan.
What?
But what I'm not up for is cost of living payments and spending $1 billion like the last lot as rinky-dink ideas. That's not something we're up.
What things are you looking at specifically for Auckland?
Well, things like we talked about. We need to look at across New Zealand, not just Auckland, but we need to look at major events, for example. That's a good example of where I expect Louise to continue to progress that work, to think about how we put a proper pipeline together. Those are logical sort of things that we need to do anyway.
So with more of a focus on Auckland?
Well, no, just genuinely a focus on saying...
So you're not actually considering anything specific for Auckland, are you?
Well, I'm just saying to you, we're open to looking at things that drive economic activity.
But you want someone else to come with ideas? What are your ideas for Auckland?
Our ideas, you've seen us put in place investment boost to support manufacturing in Auckland.
Yes, and they're saying they want more.
That's great. That's been really good. You've seen us put in place fast tracking. You've seen projects come through the system now for the first time in 6 months, which is great. You're seeing a huge amount of infrastructure projects coming, a lot of it coming to Auckland. We've now upped it to $7 billion worth of projects that will start, shovels in the ground, a lot of it in Auckland before Christmas.
So your message is just hold on. We've done what we're going to do, hold on.
We as a government are quite comfortable making adjustments, and if there's good policy that drives economic activity, we will continue to do that.
Right, you just don't know what it might be.
Well, I've given you some good examples.
But those are things you've already announced. I'm talking about new stuff.
Sure, but as I said, that they are proof points that we are a government that is quite agile, and if there's things that we can do to support the cycle, we'll do that.
The proof is in the pudding. Auckland's buggered.
No, I disagree. I disagree with that completely. You've just seen.
Look at the unemployment numbers. Look at the growth numbers.
I just say to you, look, if you look at Q2, which was April, May, June, no doubt about it, I think the economy contracted. Right. There was a loss of confidence and sentiment off the back of tariffs. If you look at where we are today, the economy is growing, and it's expected to grow and step up growth quite significantly in Q4 this year before Christmas. As a government, we've got $7 billion worth of projects coming. That's kicking off a lot of work around construction in Auckland, which is very important here, and so is manufacturing, and investment boost is helping us, as we've seen in numbers in July.
I heard a story at the weekend that this is from a fundraiser for the National Party, who calls around, and dairy prices are great at the moment, so they should be ringing around and getting all the donations they could ask for, right? Normally we'd get 10 out of 10 donations. But the farmers are all a bit angry about what Nicola Willis said about butter and Miles Hurrell and Fonterra. Have you been throwing businesses under the bus a little bit?
No, I disagree. I think what we're you look at, it is a two-speed recovery at the moment, right? And we know we've got challenges in Auckland and Wellington in our city environments. But as I said, we've got a different the programs around manufacturing, construction, and infrastructure will help there. But out there in the rural community, you just had Fonterra send back $3.2 billion for the sale of its business. You've had an interest rate cut. You've had a 15-cent increase in the dairy price just last week.
Which is all good. But
very positive.
Have you been throwing them under the bus because you've got a political issue with cost of living? Supermarkets, Jen Taylor's, Fonterra.
I disagree. No, I disagree. The reality why we have high butter prices is because we have high global prices for butter.
So why do you need to get Fonterra in to ask that question if you already know
that
the
wasn't
answer?
That wasn't what happened. That was several weeks ago. We meet with Fonterra regularly. I will talk to Miles. I saw him on Saturday night at a function. We're very proud of what they're doing. They're doing a great job.
With tariffs, who was it specifically from the US that said, no, we're sticking with 10%?
Sorry?
The 10% tariff rate. Who was it specifically from the US government that told us, the 15%, that we'd be sticking with 15 and not going down to 10%?
Well, it's pretty clear. The president's pretty fixed in his views, is that if you've got a surplus with the US, you're at a minimum of 15. Some countries are up to 40. If you've got a deficit with the US, you're at a minimum of 10. And then there might be other tariffs on top by different sectors or different categories as well. So that's pretty fixed view. There's no doubt about that. What was good is that Jamison Greer, who's Todd McClay's counterpart, invited him to DC. They had a good talk. We want them to continue to have a conversation, not just about the tariffs, but about trade in general. There are other things like non-tariff barriers for dairy products that they can continue to work on. And it's important we have a good relationship there and continue to talk. We may not like the position, get it. The President's very fixed in his views about the minimums for deficit and surplus situations, but we can still crack on and work out how we can accelerate trade in the US.
We kind of just have to accept it, don't we, the 15?
Well, I just want to be really honest with people because it's pretty clear the advice that we've had from those engagements.
All right, Prime Minister, appreciate your time this morning.
Good to be with you.
Good to see you. It is 12 minutes after 8. You're watching Herald Now. That was the Prime Minister, Christopher Luxon, and you're watching. We'll be back, in just a few moments.
Are you considering a DIY kitchen but just not sure if you can do it? Well, it's not as hard as you think. With You Do It DIY Kitchens, you're in safe hands. And the customer support team really know their stuff. After all, they design and manufacture everything here in New Zealand. You do it and you save money. So choose You Do It, the affordable DIY Kiwi kitchen with a great reputation. Visit newsroom.co.nz.
A lot of radio shows like to say they're with you in the morning.
Here at The Hits, we like to go the extra mile.
Not all of us get to experience this.
Come on, you're running late.
Gonna be a great day today, babes. I can feel it. Spit. You see, when we say we're with you, we actually mean it.
Oh, don't forget Sarah, you got social netball tonight. And Mark's working late again.
Jono and Ben with you in the morning and anytime on iHeartRadio. On the hits.
I'm Hayden Scott and I'm a knife maker. I make knives from my workshop at home in West Auckland. Yeah, my previous life I was a chef. Did that for 25 years. But I had this knife making thing that I was doing and had been doing for some time. And so that transition from finishing that 25-year career and taking the plunge into full-time knife maker, I had been building up to that, but I still had to take a leap.
Ah, here she is. How's the business going?
Good, actually. We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference, but 2 degrees has the most satisfied customers. With Flex, we get instant control of phone plans, data usage, and cost centre reporting. And they're the fastest growing business network.
Can I have what she's having?
Welcome back. It is 14 minutes after 8. The closing arguments are being heard this week in a multi-million-dollar nappy scrap involving one of the country's wealthiest men. New Zealand Herald business investigations reporter Matt Nippert has been covering Nick Mowbray's High Court trial and he joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
Can you explain the basis of what's going on here?
Well, it's quite wildly convoluted with like 3 different parties. We've got the Mowbrays, which of course everyone will know as the sort of the brains and names behind the Zuru empire. Started off in toys, started branching out into consumer goods, including nappies. Then we also had the Taylor family, a Waiheke family who founded the Rascals brand, and indeed Rascals, the Mowbrays and the Taylors partnered up for a while, and that sort of fell apart quite spectacularly. And thirdly, we've got another group called JJK, which includes sort of a quite famous basketballer, Kirk Penny, and they'd bought another sort of ailing nappy brand, and Zuru is alleging that the Taylors sort of breached restraint clauses when selling to them and gave confidential information to JJK, and they should actually be compensated for this loss of important commercial information.
Right. And that's exactly what's being, well, the evidence has been heard to that point. What has been heard so far?
Well, it's pretty extraordinary for a High Court civil trial. We've had people crying on the stand, particularly the Taylors, as they recount perhaps the less told story of startup exits, you know, the regret and I guess what they allege is sort of bullying and heavying, and told that, you know, we'll buy you out for 30 million, they said. The Mowbrays told them, and if you don't agree, we'll set up a rival nappy company and drive you out of business. Fair to say, the Mowbrays deny saying that. There's also been some pretty wild conversations played in court, including between Nick Mowbray and Kirk Penny. Mowbray had secretly recorded that conversation, and the entirety of it was played to the open court, and it was 43 minutes of really quite bracing conversation from the billionaire.
And who was the guy that came in and talked about the cocaine and the...
Oh, that was, yes, well, my coverage of this case has obviously been read quite far and wide, and at the start of trials, someone contacted the Mowbrays and said, I've dealt with this JJK group, I think they're quite dodgy, and was willing to give evidence on that basis. But I don't think he enjoyed his time on the stand very much,
no.
as the JJK's lawyer found he had quite a colourful history and a way with words that involved quite a lot of swearing. Seemed to think he was in some sort of Mad Men type situation, and it turned out the guy had tried working for JJK for about a week, and then submitted an invoice for $32,000 that was never paid. It was quite bizarre scenes over the last 3 weeks.
The whole thing's been quite bizarre, hasn't it? Have you a bit wild to be there watching?
Yeah. Look, I've covered quite a few cases in the High Court. You know, these are usually sort of very technical legal arguments involving QCs and enormous amounts of money, and extremely dry and boring. You'll get all the big tax cases there. And so to get the sort of details we're getting here is quite unusual. And I'm not sure, often people in the stand are not happy to be there, but really I've been left scratching my head as what exactly everyone's getting out of this.
What's at stake here? I mean, closing arguments today, but what's actually at stake?
Well, Zuru's seeking $75 million in compensation and damages, saying that if it had bought this Treasures nappy brand, it would have developed it in the same trajectory as Rascals and would be a thriving and $100 million business today. It's contrasting with how Treasures is actually done. I think Kirk Petty's given evidence that they've been sued for the last 4 years. There's allegations the Mowbrays have interfered in their relationships with Woolworths, and they've incurred huge extra costs. They're barely breaking even. So they're staring down the prospect of a $75 million bill with a company that's not really making any money at all. Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff.
High stakes, in other words. Hey, appreciate your time, Matt. Thank you very much for that.
Thanks for having me.
That is Matt Nippert, who is the New Zealand Herald investigations reporter. Now, if you've got anything to say about the topics we're discussing today, flick us an email, ryan@nzherald.co.nz. That's ryan@nzherald.co.nz. Now, you can win a trip to Japan thanks to the New Zealand Herald and inspiring vacations. This once-in-a-lifetime prize includes return flights, accommodation, guided tours. It's for 2 people, valued at up to $14,000. All you have to do is register on the New Zealand Herald win page by 5 p.m. on September the 3rd. Don't want to miss out on this. This is the trip of a lifetime to beautiful Japan with the New Zealand Herald and inspiring vacations. T's and C's, of course, apply. Right, it is time for our panel this morning. Carmen Visilic, founder of Velocity, of course, Generate Zero and Data Insight, is with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you, along with Simon Wilson, Herald's senior journalist. This morning, Simon.
Good morning.
Good to see you both. We just heard from the Prime Minister in terms of Auckland and getting that economy humming again. Basically, it's more of a hands-off approach at this stage. I mean, there's stuff that they've already announced that they're going to do, but it doesn't seem like there's anything further in the pipeline of the description that Simon Bridges has been talking about. Do you think Auckland needs it, or do you think the government's made its bed, it's got its plan, it wants the Reserve Bank to do the heavy lifting, and we just have to wait?
I think it's a combination of things, Ryan. Like, I think, we're seeing it with the discussions around international buyers being able to come in golden visas, and all those things bring more money to the pot, if you like, because I always think of it as a bowl of cash, and there's only so much in New Zealand, and if we want to spend money on retail, hospitality and tourism and things, we are an island, so we need to bring more. So I think it's really a combination of some of those things that will come with time. Obviously, I'm the property market, and, certainly the Reserve Bank will make the biggest difference if Kiwis feel more confidence that they've got more money in their pockets.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Simon?
Well, there was a major report released recently called the State of the City that recognised that Auckland is what's called a primate city. That's a city which is twice as big as any other city in its country and has 3 times the amount of economic activity of any other city in its country. Primate cities are drivers of the national economy. In Auckland's case, we are not doing as well. We are something like 10 to 12% behind where we should be given the scale. And, an awful lot of people think, it's just Auckland, it's just Jaffas, all of that. And we have dairy, we know that. But actually we need an urban economy that is thriving, and that helps the whole country as well. So we don't have that, and we don't appear to have a government that's particularly listening to the council. Wayne Brown, the mayor here, keeps pleading for a bed tax.
I know.
Very common overseas.
Although he did say this morning that they might do it come election, take it to the election
It'll
next
be
year.
interesting, won't it?
It
Yes.
would be.
And you think about the CRL, City Rail Link, which is going to open next year, double the capacity of the rail network right throughout the city. That's terrific. We should be supercharging rapid transit like that, busways and so on, all over the city now, and it's going on a very slow process, and that congests the roads.
Looks like the foreign buyers ban is going to be lifted for, we don't know the information yet, the data yet, but maybe 5 million plus. We had Shambil Jacob on this morning saying, doesn't make a difference anyway, so get rid of it. You might as well get rid of the thing. What do you reckon?
100%, it's not going to impact first-home buyers, and even those wanting to get an investment property, I don't think they're buying 5 million plus. And I think for those of us, we are an island and we want to be part of a global economy, so we've got to bring those, that investment, and also, those great mines. As an international company, exports is a way we can bring money into New Zealand, and the support of exports is actually building a network of, for our example, global advisors, and we want them to come here. So I think that's really only going to make it more global. people and also bring some investment, which was obviously much needed. We want to build houses, we want to build hospitals, we want to build schools, we want to build infrastructure. All of that takes lots of money, and we don't want to spend more money, so we have to bring in foreign.
Yeah, and they need somewhere to live, and they want to buy somewhere. Do you think what amount do you think would be reasonable, or what amount would be unreasonable for people's home?
I'm not sure that the key question is really around that level of the money. The key question is, what are they going to contribute to the economy? We need people who are going to grow the economy, are going to bring jobs with the entrepreneurial approach that they have, are going to make this place somewhere where more of the bright people of the world want to come and live and work and play. All of those things. So the test for me isn't so much about their net wealth as about what are they going to do to grow the economy.
If they're here, because it's looking like they're going to have to be on the active investor category, which means that they are doing exactly that, right?
Well, they should be, provided that isn't just sinking the money into property.
I think the active investor category means they actually also have to put in an amount and leave it there for a number of years. Yes. And New Zealand Trade and Enterprise helps veto which companies are, so it's not just your uncle's dairy and now you're coming in and, you've got a visa. So I think there's quite a process around that, which brings obviously more foreign investment and,
Yes. Mars. Ever wanted to go to Mars, Simon?
I don't want to go to Mars. I would have loved a little while ago, when I was fitter, perhaps. I would have loved to go to space.
Yeah, same. So NASA is doing this thing where, and I don't think us mere mortals can actually get involved with it. You've got to be sort of an astronaut. But for a year, 4 humans will live inside and simulate life on Mars in a 3D printed habitat right here on Earth. But you can't leave. It's a real simulation. So you're in this tiny little space for a year with just 3 other people. I could think of nothing worse. But I suppose if it was your family, people who you live with now, maybe it would be okay. Who would you hate to be in there with?
Oh, jeez.
How long have you got?
I think that even the concept of 1 week in quarantine in a hotel room was traumatic for me.
True.
To think about actually not being able to get out and being an extrovert and a people person. I just wouldn't cope. I think they'd eject me first.
Those things have gone badly when they've been tried before, but not always. I mean, it is possible. And the issue isn't really being shut up with people. It's in terms of who are those people. You can manage to get on with people and you probably grow in the process, but it's not being able to get away from them, isn't it? That's the key. Know where to go when you want to go for a long walk. Bad.
Yeah, and if you step outside, it's all over. So
that's right.
That's not an option. All right, we'll be back with our panel in just a few moments.
Speaker to the acting Prime Minister, does he stand by all of it?
You don't shout out like some bunch of clowns at university.
My message to the union is very clear. Don't
The New Zealand Herald, news worth knowing.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decided to build the GJs because they're good quality that they always provide us.
They help us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ Gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
After 20 seasons on the footy field, it's fair to say I know a thing or two about resilience. Digging deep when the going gets tough. Just like Kaiwaka wet weather gear. Kaiwaka's been in the game for 200 seasons. 50 years of facing up to the elements, getting the job done and coming back for more. And that's guaranteed for a lifetime. Kaiwaka, designed to perform, made to outlast.
Of course we can set up the new smart TV for you. We could also put it on the wall for you too.
Want to keep your family safe online? We've got tips for that.
Yeah, I can show you how to use the AI on your laptop.
Teaching the kids to do laundry? These washing machines auto-dispense the perfect amount of detergent, making it super easy to learn.
Wait, what's a Ninja Creamy?
Got tech questions? We've got answers. With 66 stores nationwide, your tech experts ready to help.
Welcome back. Your panel this morning, Carmen Visilic and Simon Wilson. It is 27 minutes after 8 o'clock. So, story in the Herald this morning about our new police recruits. So you spend 20 weeks, and to the government's credit, they've increased it from 16 to 20 weeks training. Then you go on the job, but you're on a sort of a probation period for 2 years. You're still learning and training, but the more senior trainers have been quite critical of the younger ones and their abilities. The Prime Minister this morning was saying, well, maybe they're a bit long in the tooth and judgmental of the younger ones. You know, you get a bit of that sometimes. But if these are the numbers that you're getting from a survey, then you've got to do something about it, don't you, Carmen?
Yes, you do. And I think it's a real balance, because I think we all know the famous boxer's quote that it's all very well when you're working out until you get in the ring and punched in the face. So, you know, I really think it's a balance. And it does come down to the quality of the existing police, being able to take them on the job and upskill them and really get them set for success, just like in any business. So I think it's really a balance, because you don't want to do too much theory and then, you know, people leave as soon as they get out into the force and you spend all the money training them.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, the Prime Minister's comment about getting long in the tooth. Senior police officers who are out in the field are early middle age. They're not really long in the tooth. These are the people who were saying we don't think the new recruits are well enough trained.
That was my paraphrasing.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay,
he didn't use that.
He didn't use that. Very pleased to hear that. One of the things that struck me about Michael Morris' story in the Herald was that the recruits did well on shooting, on firearms, on driving fast cars, on that kind of activity. What they didn't do well on was paperwork, knowing how to arrest somebody properly, all the things that they do have to get right or the case will be thrown out of court.
That's right.
So it is pretty important.
It's the evidential stuff, isn't
it?
It's
not. Yeah. And everyone hates paperwork, but police have to do it.
Yeah. Now, Fashion Week kicks off, New Zealand Fashion Week, and Auckland kicks off today. Carmen, I hear there's a very exciting development you can announce for us this morning. You're going to be walking.
I am going to be walking. It's always great to put yourself outside your comfort zone. So the shoe queen of New Zealand, Catherine Wilson, has invited me to wear the Visilic heel down the catwalk. So buy your tickets for a laugh.
Have you ever walked before?
No, I have not. It's always good to go outside your comfort zone. But the thing about Catherine's shows is always lots of fun, good music. So I'm always up for a challenge.
And you have your own. Is this a heel that's been sold that's named after you? Or is it just, oh wow.
It means you're buying too many shoes, probably. But you're supporting New Zealand.
It means they know you will buy more.
100%. That's what my husband's worried about. It also means I have 4 children, 3 of which are daughters, so there's a lot of follow through.
But it's great for Auckland, isn't it, to have an event like this on?
It is. The Viaduct Event Centre, I went past on the weekend. It was empty and waiting, and it will now be an extraordinary hive of activity, and it really gives a boost to downtown.
Good to have you both here. Come and don't trip over. That's the main thing.
Jeez, Ryan, you're jinxing me. No, huge kudos to Liam Taylor and the New Zealand Fashion Week team. It's just what Auckland needs.
Brilliant. Nice guys. Carmen Visilic, founder of Velocity Generate Zero Data Insight Now model. Simon Wilson, head of Herald senior journalist. It is time for news.
Herald Now News, powered by News Talk ZB.
The new director of the Royal New Zealand Police College is eyeing up changes to the training regime after concerns were revealed about officers' preparedness. A survey of training officers released to our newsroom found 55% feel new cops were barely or not at all well equipped with knowledge of arrest and charge procedures. Superintendent Sam Keats says the feedback highlights the need to improve in a number of areas. He says a curriculum review is underway with changes planned for early next year. A clear message around driving under the influence after the jailing of a 20-year-old for killing one of his friends in a crash. Alexander Lucas Kerr has been sentenced to 27 months in prison after his friend died and the other was severely injured. Kerr had cannabis in his system when he crashed his car in a semi-rural part of Havelock North on January 2nd. Criminal lawyer Steve Cullen told Ryan Bridge this is a stark warning of what can happen.
Given that the starting point's in the vicinity of 4.5 to 5 years imprisonment, there's an inevitability that anybody caught in that type of situation will find themselves behind bars.
The trial of a man accused of 5 counts of murder and 2 counts of arson begins in the capital today. Wellington's Loafers Lodge broke out in flames in May 2023, just after midnight, killing 5 people. The man has interim name suppression, and it's believed he may pursue a defence of insanity in the High Court. The Ministry of Education spending record amounts of money on vandalism repairs. Almost $9.7 million has been set aside for schools this year, 17% more than 5 years ago. In total, vandals have cost taxpayers about $57 million since 2020. That includes top-up funding. In the last financial year, $765,000 of this was given to schools hit the hardest. The ministry says it doesn't track vandalism-related costs, as boards are responsible for managing the damage. The promise of reinvention for New Zealand Fashion Week opening on Auckland's waterfront today. Emerging designers will decorate the runway with their collections in a display of the ever-changing and dynamic fashion landscape. Board Director Liam Taylor says a lot of thought's gone into Fashion Week's role in the wider retail industry.
And in a developing story this morning, a woman has been charged following the discovery of a dead baby's body in Albert Park yesterday morning. A 36-year-old woman has been charged with concealing the dead body of a child and will appear in Auckland District Court today. Police are calling it a tragedy for everyone involved. They are not looking for anybody else in connection to the death. Here's the rest of your morning's news. Sport with Neva.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Kazuma Kabori has achieved the best result of his golfing career with a second equal finish at the British Masters, earning $523,000. The Black Ferns have dominated Spain in their opening Rugby World Cup match in York. The Broncos have jumped to 5th and guaranteed a playoff spot on the NRL League ladder after beating the Knights 46-12 in Newcastle. 2021 Women's Champion Emma Raducanu has advanced in straight sets on the first day of singles at the US Tennis Open.
Herald Now Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning into the final week of winter, and it starts off okay, but things do take a turn later in the week. For now though, high pressure for most, with showers tied up in an easterly flow for the northern half of the North Island. But the lower south is mostly fine, with morning frost and maybe some fog. For Invercargill, you can expect the odd shower from around midday. Plenty of low cloud or fog, especially out east here. It will clear for a time this afternoon with light winds. Not bad for the lower North Island, with morning frost and mostly fine skies. Could be some afternoon cloud over Taranaki and the chance of afternoon showers for Taumaranui. Maybe foggy for spots around Taupo, Rotorua and Gisborne, then the risk of showers for most from the afternoon. Although Hawke's Bay, you should stay dry. And partly cloudy for the upper north, with a few showers everywhere, maybe heavy too for Whangarei and Whitianga, all with easterlies.
And as we've been talking about with our panel this morning, the 2025 New Zealand Fashion Week kicks off today in Auckland after a hiatus. Well, no, actually it was on last year. It was scuttered because of COVID. It started back in 2001, and one fashion label that's been there right from the very beginning is Zambesi. Elizabeth Finlay is Zambesi's co-founder and joins me this morning along with her daughter Marissa Finlay, who is the creative director at Zambesi. Morena, good morning.
Good morning.
Morena.
Good to see you both. Elizabeth, is it right in saying Zambesi's been there since the very beginning?
Yes, it is.
20 odd years?
Yes.
What's changed?
Well, I guess what has changed is that originally it was very much directed around trade as well as supporting the industry in New Zealand and celebrating, the industry in New Zealand. So we would be showing next season, up until 2022, I think the library show might have been the last one.
The last show that we showed winter.
We showed winter, so you're kind of working 6 months ahead, if you like.
Right.
We're now, since the last one, which we showed down in the viaduct.
2023 was the last one.
2023 was the last one that we showed winter, yeah.
Right.
No, summer.
We showed summer there, that's right. That was the first time we...
transitioned to showing to more of a retail-based audience and in season.
As opposed to a really high-end, fashion-y type show. Is that what you mean? Like this?
No, so it's more about Fashion Week was originally directed towards trade, so it was more for buyers who were buying the next season. And in 2023, there was more of a shift for us and probably some other designers to show in season more to what was shoppable right now, to direct to our clients who shop in store and online, and we sold to our buyers privately in a showroom.
So initially it was about bringing overseas buyers.
Yeah, that's what
press.
Fashion Weeks traditionally are.
And when you look at this from a creative perspective, do you sort of have a dream or a vision of how it's going to look and then go and try and make it happen?
Yeah, there's always a dream and a vision. It just all comes down to kind of what you can manage within your budget. So, I mean, 2023, the vision for me was those amazing steps that led into the water down in the Viaduct Harbour. And it was incredible to have it outside. We had such a beautiful evening, a full tide, a blue moon, it was incredible. And we had, the public could all gather around and see, so they were all kind of coming from wherever because it wasn't closed off. And then we had our VIPs at the Park Hyatt all outside, and our media and buyers like looking directly to the steps, and it was quite beautiful as the models walked kind of down these concrete steps towards the water, and it was really magical. So yeah, this year we're going on site in Shed 10 with Fashion Week.
How do you top that?
Exactly. How do we top that? It's a lot of pressure.
It's
going to be quite a different show, and the clothes I think will do a lot of the talking this time. It's all about mood and atmosphere and how we create that emotion, and we can do that in various ways. So you'll have to wait and see.
Well, we're very excited to see it. And of course, your look, your style has just been absolutely iconic in this country. What has it taken to build that brand and that recognition?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. I mean, we're calling this show instrumental, and you know, there's a lot of players that come in to create. We have an amazing creative team, and I think that we all kind of work together. It's a very kind of, it's never just about one person, even though, you know, I'm probably, you know, regarded as the one. It's not. It's a whole creative team that brings everything together. It's quite amazing, and I think it's great for the industry because, you know, it brings in, you know, your stylists, your hair, makeup, music. Sophie, our other daughter, does all the music direction, and which is amazing. And it's kind of like creating something visual, which I think is really important.
Creating a bit of a buzz too, right?
A buzz, yeah. And I think we need it right now too. Yeah, we need to celebrate our industry, Yeah,
couldn't have come at a better time.
Yeah.
Guys, we look forward to Thursday's show. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you
You're
for having
welcome.
us.
Lovely to meet you both.
Thank
That is
you.
Marissa Findlay, Zambesi's creative director, and of course Elizabeth Findlay, Zambesi's co-founder. Time now is 90 minutes away from 9. Next, an historic All Blacks loss in Argentina. Our sports panel breaks it down.
Maximising productivity, what have you got?
Well, if we switch to 2 degrees, with Flex for Business, we can instantly manage data usage, employee mobile plans, and cost centre reporting, saving us time and money. Cool. I'll get onto that then.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Moroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
In 1985, my grandfather set out to make the world a better tea. That's why we grow our own, unlike other tea companies. Then pick the best leaves by hand, not machine, and pack it right here in Sri Lanka. But it's not just the taste that makes our tea better. 15% of our profit goes to humanity. and to the elephants. As my grandfather said,
Do try it.
You Do It delivers high-quality New Zealand-made flat-pack DIY kitchen cabinetry. With flexible widths at your fingertips, it makes designing easy. All at an affordable price because you order online and cut out the middleman. You can even upgrade your dream kitchen with You Do It stylish and clever options, like choosing wall cabinets with overhanging doors, or select from a range of pull-out storage solutions. Add premium soft-close drawers and ask to stretch the height, width or depth of your cabinets. Upgrade your kitchen today and head to newsroom.co.nz. Ready?
One Roof Property. Love where you live.
Welcome back. It is 17 minutes away from 9, and that means it's time for our sports panel. Chris Reeve is with us, a Herald sports journalist, and Nathan Lim, ZB sports journalist. Good morning, guys.
Hello. Morning, Ryan.
Good to see you both. So, no, not great at the weekend, was it, Chris?
Depends who you support, right?
Well, true.
For the All Blacks, yeah, not great. They were just outplayed by Argentina. Argentina were very good. The All Blacks, very, very average. Discipline issues again. There were 3 yellow cards this time, not 2. That's 5 yellow cards in 2 tests, which is pretty bad. And yeah, they were just inaccurate, couldn't catch the high ball, and Argentina exploited every opportunity they had.
How do you fix the yellow card problem? Do you just need to be more conservative and take fewer risks, or are they just like rookie errors?
I think it's just one-off individual decision making. I think discipline's a really hard thing to just be like, right, we're going to fix this and not give away yellow cards. I think there are basic things inside your 22 when you're on defence that you've got to be really careful of, the offside, for example. But yeah, I mean, it's one-off decisions. You're right, Reeve, in terms of the All Blacks were just error-strewn throughout that game. I genuinely don't know how they went that far backwards in 7 days, because they played really well in Cordoba, and then come Buenos Aires, they couldn't catch the ball. There were passes going to ground. They couldn't take the high ball. So a lot to work on with 2 weeks until South Africa at Eden Park. It's a big step backwards.
Yeah. Makes that game a hell of a lot more interesting though, doesn't it?
It does. It was already a very interesting game, and you know, the Springboks beat the Wallabies, so they sort of bounced back, and now you come 2 weeks' time at Eden Park, the record on the line. I mean, there's a lot to like about that. And the Rugby Championship's set up really well as well, because now every team has won one, lost one, and even despite this, the All Blacks actually sit top of the table after this result. Yeah, it was a bit weird seeing the All Blacks settle for a penalty at the end of the game. They weren't going to win it, but they settle for the penalty to get the bonus point. Like, that's a weird thing to see the All Blacks doing, but it's a smart thing.
Yeah. Hey, the Warriors, I know you follow them very closely, Nathan.
Yeah, a much improved performance, their best performance in 2 months, and it's been a long 2 months.
It's been.
Somehow they are still top 4. So Tanner Boyd and Chanel Harris-Tavita had probably their best game as a combination. There's still some question marks around their ruthlessness in the attacking 20, a few misplaced kicks, but it is an improvement, and given the personnel that they've lost over the last couple of months, the Warriors can be really, really pleased with that. I don't think there's something at this point in the season expecting way more ruthlessness in the 20. I think at this point this is just what we have. Tanner Boyd is not Luke Metcalf. They're completely different players, but they can make up for that lack of perhaps ruthlessness with solid defence and a good kicking game, and that's improving. Tanner Boyd also 6 from 6 off the tee, which is going to be really crucial come the playoffs.
Black Ferns got off to a good start with Spain, although a few injuries, apparently nothing major.
Yeah, I suppose we'll wait and see about that. Kai Paulson-Baker, who was coming back from injury in this game, she had to get stretchered off the park with what looked like sort of a lower leg injury. She just landed awkwardly in a tackle by the looks of things. So, yeah, we'll wait and see how things shake up. They finished the game with 13 players. They had another couple injuries. So, yeah, interesting to see what we find out in the week ahead. But, you know, they played quite well. They took a little bit of time to get into it. Pretty new look team, some new combinations, and Spain, I think, gave them a little bit more of a challenge than they might have expected. They defended really well. They challenged the breakdown and gave the Black Ferns a little bit to work for. They did end up running away with the game, but I think it was probably a good challenge and one they needed first up, just to sort of blow the cobwebs off.
And next is Japan, right? How do they rank?
Japan are, the Black Ferns are expected to run riot over them. The real test is going to come against Ireland, their last pool game. The Irish beat the Black Ferns for the first time ever last year. So that's going to be the real test and the real sort of benchmark game. Ireland have thrashed Japan in the other opening game of this pool. So the Black Ferns and Ireland are definitely the heavyweights of this pool, and that's where we're going to see where this Black Ferns team is at heading into the playoffs.
All right, gentlemen, good to see you both, as always.
Likewise.
Our sports panel for you Monday morning, that is Nathan Lim and Chris Reeve. Time now 13 away from 9. Next, Garth Bray here with the latest in business news, thanks to our partners 2 Degrees.
Of course we can set up the new smart TV for you. We could also put it on the wall for you too.
Want to keep your family safe online? We've got tips for that.
Yeah, I can show you how to use the AI on your laptop.
Teaching the kids to do laundry? These washing machines auto-dispense the perfect amount of detergent, making it super easy to learn.
Wait, what's a Ninja Creamy?
Got tech questions? We've got answers. With 66 stores nationwide, your tech experts ready to help.
On the footy field, it's fair to say I know a thing or two about resilience, just like Kaiwaka wet weather gear. Digging deep when the going gets tough. Kaiwaka, designed to perform, made to outlast.
We've done few subdivisions with GJ Gardner, and from the resource consent to the building consent, getting the council permits and stuff, always GJ Gardners are ahead and helping us out through the whole process, and it was so easy working with GJ.
Ten to 9, time now for a look at what's on the front page podcast today. Chelsea Daniels is here. Hey, Chelsea.
Morning.
So, you're looking at a surge in illegal tobacco smuggling this morning.
Yeah, so I came across a story on the ABC which kind of shocked me. And essentially, in Australia, illegal excise evading cigarettes are now smoked by half of the country's 2.7 million smokers. And I thought, that's insane. That's $10 billion worth of revenue going straight into the pockets of organised crime in Australia. And as we know, what happens in Australia usually ends up happening here. So I spoke to Chief Customs Officer of Fraud and Prohibition, Nigel Barnes. He said, not to the levels of Australia yet, but somewhere, it's really difficult to try and figure out how prevalent this is, right? Because they only stop stuff at the border. But for example, in October, following a referral from the Overseas Customs Administration, they seized more than 2 million cigarettes found in a container from Southeast Asia. That had a haul of about $3 million. In 2018, they found $4 million in cash. That's due to illegal tobacco smuggling as well. So it is happening here. It's crazy. And he's like, look, they're not to the levels, like I said, of Australia, which is about half, which is insane.
It's crazy. It's because they made durry so expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, well, excise tax has increased to over $1,800 per kilo. In 2009, it was about $393. So you can see why organised crime groups look to this, because you've got a maximum penalty if you're caught of about 5 odd years imprisonment. If you get caught with the same amount of cocaine, for example, it's life imprisonment. So it's seen as I guess, easy money. But Nigel said, look, they're really cracking down on where it hurts. And where it hurts is their bank accounts, their pockets. So they work really closely with police, really closely with overseas counterparts to try and get rid of illegal tobacco.
Interesting. All right, we'll look forward to today's podcast, Chelsea. Good to see you. Chelsea Daniels, the front page podcast available today wherever you like to listen. It is 8 minutes away from 9. 4 volunteers, this is to the United States, 4 volunteers are about to be locked away for more than a year in a tiny little 3D printed home to simulate life on Mars. The 160 square metre building is in Texas. It's designed to prepare people for the real-life challenges of being on the red planet. The volunteers have to stay in the house, which includes 2 bathrooms, a medical room and several workstations for the year. They can only eat food that can be harvested on a real space mission, including leafy crops and small fruits, and potatoes, just like the Matt Damon movie. Social media, for anyone interested in going, is banned. Garth, would you go with me?
To Mars or into a greenhouse?
Both.
I think Mars is a bit of a haul, actually. What are we about, sort of 9 months in a thing, and then you've got to come back, and then
nightmare.
I don't know. I think we'd learn a lot about each other.
Yeah, and amazing. But also, you would basically have to accept. Garth's here for business, by the way. But in the meantime, Mars, you'd have to accept that you probably wouldn't come back too, wouldn't you?
I think there's that high risk. I've seen enough of those sort of. I guess in my younger years, I might have been more interested. But once you've got a family, you start to think, what am I really doing this for? And is there someone that could do it better?
Or you would, if you were in your 80s, you might give it a go, because what have you got to lose?
And they'd probably have to change you and rewire you and make you bionic and all kinds of stuff anyway. So all kinds of messing around.
All right, let's get down to business, Garth. Thanks to our partners 2 Degrees this morning. It's been a busy day for some of our listed companies. Half a dozen are reporting results. What do we know?
Okay, well, a welter of results come through, I guess. We've got, agriculture, we've got infrastructure, we've got all kinds of stuff, property and so on. But the first result that I wanted to pick on there, I think, was from Tourism Holdings, which have come in with about a $26 million loss, and a large chunk of that, something like 50 odd million, was a write-down on goodwill, basically because it's sort of seeing its US-affected business. They're into camper vans and RVs, as they call them over there, being sort of hit pretty hard by the effect of tariffs, the general slowdown in the US economy, a bit of wariness around spending and so on. So they've also, I think, got a live offer for a buyout from a private equity or a family firm at about $2.30 a share. I think it was trading about $2.20 a share the last time I looked on Friday. So interesting times ahead for them as they try and work out whether or not that offer comes through for people that have got shares in THL.
And Vector, $154 million profit. How does that compare?
Yeah, pretty well. Obviously, their revenues were up as well, and they, I think, had some about a $37 million impairment from dealing with some gas business that they've been moving off. They're very interested in what comes out of this Frontier Economics report that we've all been hearing about. That's the one that the Energy Minister's considering about the future of our energy sector, because obviously as a distribution company, be a lot of interest in how they're affected. A lot of pressure, I suppose, coming on from some of the gentailers saying, hey, a big part of our energy future is not just creating more energy, but how you get it out to people. And basically how they go about doing their business could come under some scrutiny. They're very highly regulated because they're monopolies in different places, and Vector is one of those. So yeah, bit of pressure from them recently as well. We've been writing about from developers saying, hey, your charges are too high. You're basically making anyone with a new connection who's building a development or a sizable number of houses pay for stuff that you should just be paying for to maintain the network for everybody. So a bit of pressure on there, I think, as well.
And just finally, Chorus flat this morning.
Yeah, flat revenue. I mean, they're already pretty huge. Their job is now, they've rolled out a lot of fibre to people. They're now effectively just managing it, but they are slowly growing that. I think about 1% increase to 71% coverage, and they're aiming to get 95% of people on fibre over the next period, so pretty major.
All right, nice update, Garth. Thank you very much for that. Good to see you.
See you.
Garth Bray, Business Desk, thanks to our partners 2 Degrees. It is 4 minutes away from 9 o'clock now. Are our new cops on the beat up to scratch? A survey of 230 senior officers who oversee new cops, freshly graduated from police college, paints a scathing picture of their readiness. 55% said new officers were barely or not at all equipped to do basic duties like knowing how to make an arrest or lay charges. 83% felt the same about the abilities of new staff to complete and file paperwork in preparation for a potential conviction. Earlier, Tisha Penny, Police Assistant Commissioner, was on the program. I started off by asking for her thoughts on the survey results.
So Ryan, it's really interesting because I've been around 34 years and I think we've always had feedback around how we need to improve our recruits. But the reality is from this survey, you're right. It says that post-arrest and in relation to doing cases and file management, We really need to challenge ourselves about how we get better. I mean, for a long time, we've said that a recruit straight out of college will take on average about 3 months to be able to do a file by themselves. That's why they go into a sort of coaching, mentoring for 2 years as a probationary constable. This is the beginning of their policing apprenticeship. We don't think we're pushing anyone out who can do the job 100% to the standard of seasoned operators.
Totally. But they do. So you're saying for 2 years they never go out either on their own or with another recent graduate. They're always paired with someone more senior for 2 years?
No, I'm not saying that. What
so
I'm
given
saying,
that, Tasha, given that, you've got officers out there, newly trained recruits who are out there, who the senior officers say overwhelmingly don't know how to do basic procedures when arresting someone. Do you have confidence if a rookie goes out on the beat today and arrests somebody that they'll follow procedures? Because your senior cops don't think they will.
I know what I'm confident on is that our FTOs are very good, Ryan, and our senior officers. When they first go out of college, they are not by themselves when they first come out. They go through a process. What this survey has shown us, and we've done a far greater look than this, is whilst our officers can identify offences and make arrests, the issues are around that post-arrest procedure, our case management. We need to look at that and make sure that we are improving that, and the changes we'll make early next year to the curriculum.
Okay. What about the length of time, the 20 weeks, and Mark Mitchell's put it up. Does it need to be longer than that? Will you ask him for longer?
Well, look, after the review, we'll definitely ask for longer if we need to. So, looking across the world, Ontario does 13 weeks. Queensland, I think, is 34 weeks. Absolutely. We will have a really strong look at this. And if we need to increase it, including deployment week. So one of the big things is, that experiential learning. At the moment, they do 1 week on deployment. That's actually in the field. We may need to lift this up, but I won't solutionise it yet. But if we need to extend it, then we will.
How long, in terms of the practical training, how long are people getting practically going out there and actually, being on the street or having scenarios run with them versus being in the classroom?
So we do 1 week of deployment out of the 20. So that is 1 week in the field, and that is an area that we will be looking at under review, whether it's enough. And if it's not enough, we'll increase it.
All right. And how would you describe, overall, reading this report, how would you describe the feeling amongst senior police towards the new recruits?
I am confident that our police officers treat our recruits really well. We need to listen to our senior officers, though. We need to make sure that we are making changes, and to that end, we're getting a whole lot of them in, and they will be our reference group as we go forward and make the change. But Ryan, I do stand by the recruits we're pushing out. The large majority of them are fantastic. A few of them do have issues, and like I said, just because you graduate from college, we have a pretty strict assessment process through the probationary period as well.
That was Tasha Penny, the Police Assistant Commissioner, on the program at just after 7 this morning. Right now, here's the rest of the morning's headlines with Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
The new director of the Royal New Zealand Police College is eyeing up changes to the training regime after concerns were revealed about officers' preparedness. A survey of training officers released to our newsroom found 55% feel new cops were barely or not at all well equipped with knowledge of arrest and charge procedures. Superintendent Sam Keats says the feedback highlights the need to improve in a number of areas. He says a curriculum review is underway with changes planned for early next year. A clear message around driving under the influence after the jailing of a 20-year-old for killing one of his friends in a crash. Alexander Lucas Kerr has been sentenced to 27 months in prison after his friend died and the other was severely injured. Kerr had cannabis in his system when he crashed his car in a semi-rural part of Havelock North on January 2nd. Criminal lawyer Steve Cullen told Ryan Bridge this is a stark warning of what can happen.
Given that the starting point's in the vicinity of 4.5 to 5 years imprisonment, there's an inevitability that anybody caught in that type of situation will find themselves behind bars.
The trial of a man accused of 5 counts of murder and 2 counts of arson begins in the capital today. Wellington's Loafers Lodge broke out in flames in May 2023, just after midnight, killing 5 people. The man has interim name suppression, and it's believed he may pursue a defence of insanity in the High Court. The Ministry of Education spending record amounts of money on vandalism repairs. Almost $9.7 million has been set aside for schools this year, 17% more than 5 years ago. In total, vandals have cost taxpayers about $57 million since 2020. That includes top-up funding. In the last financial year, $765,000 of this was given to schools hit the hardest. The ministry says it doesn't track vandalism-related costs, as boards are responsible for managing the damage. The promise of reinvention for New Zealand Fashion Week opening on Auckland's waterfront today. Emerging designers will decorate the runway with their collections in a display of the ever-changing and dynamic fashion landscape. Board Director Liam Taylor says a lot of thought's gone into Fashion Week's role in the wider retail industry.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Kazuma Kobori has achieved the best result of his golfing career with a second equal finish at the British Masters, earning $523,000. The Black Ferns have dominated Spain in their opening Rugby World Cup match in York. The Broncos have jumped to 5th and guaranteed a playoff spot on the NRL League ladder after beating the Knights 46-12 in Newcastle. 2021 Women's Champion Emma Raducanu has advanced in straight sets on the first day of singles at the US Tennis Open.
Herald Now Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning into the final week of winter, and it starts off okay, but things do take a turn later in the week. For now though, high pressure for most, with showers tied up in an easterly flow for the northern half of the North Island. But the lower south is mostly fine, with morning frost and maybe some fog. For Invercargill, you can expect the odd shower from around midday. Plenty of low cloud or fog, especially out east here. It will clear for a time this afternoon with light winds. Not bad for the lower North Island, with morning frost and mostly fine skies. Could be some afternoon cloud over Taranaki and the chance of afternoon showers for Taumaranui. Maybe foggy for spots around Taupo, Rotorua and Gisborne, then the risk of showers for most from the afternoon. Although Hawke's Bay, you should stay dry. And partly cloudy for the upper north, with a few showers everywhere, maybe heavy too for Whangarei and Whitianga, all with easterlies.
And that is Herald Now for this morning. Thanks so much for watching. We'll do it all again tomorrow from 7 o'clock. In the meantime, more news, nzherald.co.nz. See you tomorrow.